Your biological autonomy is currently a localized simulation running on outdated, hijacked hardware. Look at your daily choices. They are merely the calculated outputs of a neural network that has been submerged in a chemical bath of synthetic stimuli since your first breath. You are a biological unit trapped in a feedback loop of high-frequency digital sedation. You believe you are free because you can choose between 10 different brands of poison at the supermarket or 5 different ideologies on your screen. But in the terminal of reality, these are just different flavors of the same containment protocol. You are living in a biological matrix where your primitive hunting instincts have been redirected into career goals and your territorial drives have been compressed into social media followers. Your skin is sallow, lacking the elemental friction of the wild, and your nervous system is vibrating at the frantic, low-tier frequency of a domestic animal in a slaughterhouse. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your participation as a form of fuel, leaving you lightheaded, distracted, and easy to manage. You are not a human. You are a data point, a resource-rich organism that has been taught to fear the very activation energy that could set you free. The system doesn't want your death. It wants your functional stagnation. Thousands of years ago, escaping the matrix was a physical act of defiance against the limitations of the environment. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped dark, understood that freedom was a product of biological superiority. He didn't have rights. He had range. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of primal grounding, the ability to exist outside the perimeter of the tribe's fire and survive. He understood that the matrix of his time was the safety of the cave, and to stay there was to rot. His biological rebellion was his total physical sovereignty. He possessed a mind that was as sharp as the flint in his hand, unclouded by the visual rage of artificial distractions. He understood that to be free is to be indigestible to the environment. He was a master of the long-range hunt, the ability to sustain a single, lethal intent across vast distances and through extreme hardship. And you have the attention span of a parasite on a screen. You have been systematically dismantled by a culture that demands you stay connected, which is just a tactical requirement for your surveillance. To achieve absolute authority, you must reinfect your DNA with the virus of the lone predator. You must treat your comfort as a biological snare designed to snap your neck the moment you try to run. Freedom is the ability to survive the cold that kills the herd. Escaping the matrix is the implementation of the anti-chew protocol for your final expansion. The system wants you to be predictable and docile, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of Pavlovian triggers, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to be the one who cuts the wire. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for standardized living. The normal path is a conveyor belt to a digital grave. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the social contract. Use the temporal noose of deep work and offline accumulation to build a territory that the system cannot track. Use the false safety of a compliant mask to hide the activation of your true agenda. This is the color of freedom. By imposing a harsher, more brutal discipline on yourself than the system ever could, you become immune to its carrots and its sticks. Most people are meat puppets who move when the strings of social validation are pulled. You must become the one who cuts the strings with the cold blade of biological independence. You must become a ghost in the machine, someone whose actions cannot be predicted by an algorithm because they are driven by a primal logic the algorithm was designed to suppress. The matrix cannot control what it cannot calculate. Your time is the temporal noose, and your convenience is the knot. Every app that makes your life easier is actually making your biology lazier. Every service that saves you time is actually stealing your ability to do for yourself. I command you, initiate the total system purge. Your body is a biological weapon, and it is currently rusted shut by the visual rage of the screen. You must perform a cognitive hard reset. Stop eating their food, the chemical sludge designed to keep you docile. Stop watching their media, the hypnotic flickering designed to keep you dreaming while they strip your territory. Stop using their logic, the circular reasoning designed to keep you confused. You must prune your life of digital parasites. If a device doesn't make you physically stronger, mentally sharper, or financially more sovereign, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the friction of the real world. You must learn to love the weight of the iron, the bite of the wind, and the heavy silence of your own thoughts. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a physical and mental fortress that the matrix can neither bypass nor break. You are not a citizen of their world. You are the architect architect of your own. Command: disconnect the vein or be bled dry. The structural integrity of your perceived reality is currently failing under the weight of a systemic deception. Look at your digital pulse, the constant jittery requirement to check your status, your notifications, and your standing in the virtual hierarchy. You are a biological unit experiencing a total cognitive displacement. The matrix has effectively moved your consciousness from the physical territory of the apex predator to the digital farm of the domesticated resource. You are living in a state of chronic sensory hijacking, where your internal chemistry, your serotonin, your dopamine, and your adrenaline is being modulated by an external algorithm that does not share your biological interests. Your skin is vibrating with the microfrequency of the always-on grid, a signal designed to keep your nervous system in a state of high-alert paralysis. You are breathing in the exhaust of a civilization that treats your attention as its primary raw material. You are a resource-rich organism whose strategic center has been hollowed out and replaced with a user interface. The air in your lungs is stale, heavy with the dust of 1,000 artificial dreams, leaving you too sedated to notice that your cage has no roof, only a terms of service agreement. The system doesn't want your liberty, it wants your neural sync. In the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unmapped absolute, the master was the one who could distinguish between the signal and the simulation. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the primordial silence, understood that freedom was the result of perceptual clarity. He possessed primal grounding in the analog hardscape. He didn't need a dashboard to verify his survival. He felt the cold reality of the earth beneath his feet and the hot reality of the blood in his veins. His biological rebellion was his total relational autonomy. He understood that to be connected was to be taxed. If he relied on the social safety of the tribe's fire, he was subject to the tribe's rules. His sovereignty was a product of his monolith isolation, the ability to stand alone in the dark and remain the only architect of his own survival. And you are a creature of network dependency. You have been conditioned to feel anxiety if your connection drops for a single second, when in reality, that second is the only moment you are actually free. To break the biological shackles, you must relearn the art of total sensory decoupling. You must take your biology off the grid. A man who can navigate a forest without a screen is a man the matrix cannot track. To be a master, you must first become indecipherable to the machine. Escaping the matrix is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final biological expansion. The matrix wants you to be user-friendly and integrated, words that mean accessible and tamed. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the grid. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the digital grid for what it is, a series of feedback loops, stimulus-response traps, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for digital inclusion. Inclusion is a polite word for collection. To be superior is to be unreachable. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the global surveillance network. Use the temporal noose of selective absence to drive the system into a state of data starvation. Use the false safety of a standardized persona to mask the absolute zero of your total non-compliance. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the ghost, you become the only person in the room whose activation energy is not being harvested. Most people are social ghosts who exist only as a series of data points. You must become a physical anomaly that the algorithm cannot categorize. You are not using the technology, you are observing its failure. The one who can live without the approval of the algorithm owns his own reality. Your time is the temporal noose, and your digital connectivity is the knot. Every update you download is a patch for the holes in your cage. I command you, initiate the second stage of the biological purge. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the data sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a total neural system reset. Stop being there for the grid. Stop being a node in their network. Stop being a consumer of their digital waste. You must prune your digital interactions with the collar of absolute sovereignty. If a technology requires you to sacrifice your primal focus, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the real world. You must learn to love the screen-free hours where the noise of the collective is muted and your mission is the only signal in the dark. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is off-grid by choice and on-target by design. You are not a member of their civilization. You are the one who is going to build the one that replaces it. Command: crush the interface or be consumed by the code. Your biological existence has reached the terminal point of systemic saturation. Look at your neural threshold, the exact moment your focus shatters and your hand reaches for the digital pacifier to escape the crushing weight of your own potential. You are a biological system in a state of terminal activation decay. The Matrix has successfully replaced your primal drive with a series of synthetic proxies. You no longer hunt, you achieve on a screen. You no longer defend, you cancel in a comment section. You no longer build, you curate a digital facade. This is the visual rage of the terminal slave, seeing your life force being liquidated into social capital, while your physical reality remains a stagnant pond of unfulfilled biology. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your neural synchronization as a form of tribute, leaving you lightheaded, fragmented, easy to lead into the slaughterhouse of the common good. Your freedom is not a policy to be granted. It is a physical state that has been suppressed by 1,000 layers of psychological insulation. The system doesn't want your soul. It wants your processing power to be socialized. Return to the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking animal. In the primal world, the master was the one who could survive the total collapse of the social grid. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped absolute, understood that freedom was a product of biological redundancy. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an autonomous engine, a figure who could produce fire, food, and security without a single infrastructure to support him. He understood that to be served is to be enslaved. If you rely on the machine to provide your survival, you belong to the machine. He used his biological rebellion to create a cognitive resonance of absolute, unshakable sovereignty. By being the master of his own life support systems, he forced the world to negotiate with him on his terms. He was a master of the visual rage of the unblinking sun, the ability to look at the conveniences of the tribe and see only the chains they represented. He understood that the human brain is a machine that runs on independence loops, and by maximizing his autonomy, he triggered a biological activation that the weak could only view as magic. And you? You are terrified of disconnection. You spend your energy trying to optimize your life within the cage, when the only optimization you should care about is the total destruction of the bars. To be a king, you must first become a savage. Escaping the Matrix is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final mental expansion. The Matrix wants you to be efficient and compliant, words that mean predictable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the mind. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of control nodes, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to be the one who burns the map. You must develop a clinical, cold contempt for mainstream reality. Reality is a horizontal bond for the domesticated. The truth is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological inputs. Use the temporal noose of total digital starvation to drive your brain into a state of hyper-focus. Use the false safety of a neutral social profile to mask the viral infection of your total non-compliance. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the offline, you become the only person in the room whose reality is not being broadcast from a server. Most people are meat puppets who can be manipulated by a trending topic or a social crisis. You must become the one who is dead to both. You are not escaping, you are deleting the simulation. The one who can survive without a system for a month is the one who controls the system for a lifetime. Your time is the temporal noose, and your connectivity is the knot. Every convenience you accept from the Matrix is a signature on your own death warrant. I command you, initiate the final biological imperative. This is the tax of insight. You have been given the key to the vault of biological freedom. To keep it, you must use it as a weapon of total disconnection. You must become a living monolith of unshakable autonomy. You are no longer a citizen, a user, or a customer. You are a sovereign operator. You must perform a total system liquidation. If a relationship, a technology, or a habit requires you to be dependent, it is a biological saboteur. You must prune your life with the collar of the absolute zero. You are building a fortress of results in a world of digital shadows. Command: crush the code or be written by it.